Welcome to my storybook. I'm Joseph Crow. Today I'm going to read about a little boy who played his saxophone. And he loves playing. And he loves playing. And he loves playing. Now, the book that called A Horn for Lewis. A Horror for Lewis. This is the book that I'm going to read and I hope you enjoyed it. I'm going for all this book, part 1 and 2. And here it is on this book. Let's begin. Chapter 1. A New Orleans morning. Louis rubbed his eyes. The room was dark and cold. Louis wanted to sleep some more, but it was time to get up. Louis had to go to work. Louis always tried not to move around too much when he got up. He did not want to wake his mother or his little sister. Louis didn't have a bedroom of his own. He didn't even have a real bed. Louis lived in a shack off a worn-down street called Brick Road. His bed was a pile of quilt spread on the floor. He shared them with his mother, May Ann, and his little sister, Mama Lucy. Sharing a bed with two other people was a good way to keep warm or cold winter nights. But there was no good way to stay warm when it was time to get up. Louis gave his sleeping sister a kiss. Be sweet, Mama Lucy. I see you tonight. Mama Lucy's real name was Benedict, but nobody ever called her that. Everyone knew her as Mama Lucy, even though she was only 5 years old. Just about everybody on Brick Road and had a nickname. Both Nose, Wilton Jaws, Hammock Face. Louis had a nickname too. Most of his friends called him Deeper. That was a short for Dapper Mouth. Louis loved to laugh. When he did, he opened his mouth so wide it looked like the bowl, the dap, or the dipper in the courtyard water bell. Louis took a deep breath and roared out from under the crypts. Oh, was it cold? Was it cold? Louis hopped around in the dark. He shivered as he tried to find his clothes. He slept in his long johns, so he didn't have to look for them. His mother, May Ann, had had on a clean shirt for him and left it on a shelf. Louis pulled the shirt over his head. He buttoned it up all the way to the collar. Stockings came next, then knee pants. Man, there was a lot of buttons. Knee buttons, and fly buttons, and suspender buttons. Getting all the buttons in the right buttonholes was hard enough. Doing in the dark when the cold was hard enough. Doing in the dark when the cold made little fingers stiff was even harder. Louis finally got his clothes buttoned. He slipped in his suspenders over his shoulders. Now for his shoes. Even shoes have buttons. Louis used a button hook to pull the shoe buttons through the holes. The man was inventor of shoe buttons. Should be one out of town. Louis grumbled. He kept his voice low so he couldn't wake Man and Mama Lucy. One day, Louis will find a way to make lots of money. Then they live in a big house with their own bedroom and their own beds. It would be nice to have a bed of my own. Louis thought, a real bed in his own room. It would have 50 pillows and clean white sheets. Louis' grandmother taught him about beds like that. She used to work in the big houses in the garden district. She cooked and cleaned for rich white people. The beds in those houses were so big and soft. Sleeping there must be like sleeping on a cloud. I had a bed like that and a house like that someday. Louis promised himself. I'll keep the fire in the store going all night long, so it will be warm in the morning. I had servants to button my buttons and light the kerosene lamp so I won't even have to get dressed in the dark. Why? I may not even need those lamps. I'll sleep so late that when I wake up, it'll be time to go back to bed. It sure was a fine dream, although Louis was only 7 years old. He was already trying to make it come true. Louis worked at a Cairns Freshly junkyard. He made $1 a day. $1 was a lot of money. Well, a lot of money for Louis' family. It brought food to eat. It brought corn for the store. Louis' mother worked at a place when they baled up old newspapers. They only paid her 50 cents a day. Louis felt proud that he could help his family. Christmas was only 2 weeks away. Louis hoped that he could earn extra money to buy presents for his mother and sister. Maybe he would have enough money to buy something special for himself. Louis, why didn't you wake me up? I'll make some lunch for you. Louis heard his mother getting out from under the crisps. No, Mama, go back to sleep. Louis whispered, you can make something for Mama. Lucy, when she wakes up, you can make something for Mama Lucy when she wakes up. You don't need to go to any trouble for me. Mama Kelsey Scott likes to cook. She gets worried if we don't eat enough. Are you sure, Louis? His mother asked. Those people you work for must be awfully kind to take care of you the way they do. I worry that they do too much. We work hard and we get by. We may not have much money, but we always pay our own way. I know that, Mama, said Louis. I told you you can't argue with Mama Cornscott. I just eat what she puts on my plate. That makes me that makes her happy. It made Louis it made Louis happy. Too. The food that Mama Cornscott put on Louis' plate was mighty good. Mama Cornscott loved to cook as much as Louis loved to eat. She made Luskelter and Kalaska, and dishes whose names Louis couldn't begin to pronounce. That didn't matter to Louis. He might not be able to say them, but he sure could eat them. Louis' mother kissed him goodbye. Be sweet, son. Work hard and be a good boy. You know I will, Mama. You can count on me. Louis said as he pulled on his jacket. He slipped his tin horn into his pocket, shutting the door behind him. He walked through the alley. Louis heard music. The music came from Pandora Street, the main street of Storyville. Everybody in New Orleans knew about the Paul town called Storyville. People in Storyville loved to have a good time. They dance, they sing, they play music. In Storyville, fun and music never stopped. Music played day and night. It poured from every door. The music had many names. Some called it blues, some called it ragtime, some called it jazz. Louis didn't care what they called it. He loved it all. The music made his feet dance. He marched along the pavement and pretended he was leading a big parade. He was the Grand Marshal. A horror began to play. Louis shivered. Only one person in New Orleans could play like that. Joe Oliver, King Oliver. Louis stopped by Pete Little's place and looked through the open door. He saw Joe Oliver standing up on a little stage, blowing under his trumpet. Joe blew low and sad, strong and sweet at the same time. Some say he played like an angel. Some say he played like the devil. Nobody alive could blow horn like Joe Oliver. That was why everybody in Storyville called him king. Lewis took out Lewis took out his tin horn. He put it to his lips. He made believe he was playing too. Lewis felt music rise from his heart. He felt it come to life with each breath. His fingers moved up and down on the toy horn. The toy horn didn't have valves like a real trumpet. Still, Lewis liked to pretend that he knew how to use valves to make the notes. The people inside Pete's lodge started shouting for Joe Oliver. Lewis pretended that they were shouting for him. Hooray for King Louis. Hooray! Hooray for King Louis. They yelled. If you had if you if only he had a real horn to play, not just a little toy teen toy. It never gonna blow like King Oliver on this tin horn. Louis whispered to himself. He put his drink back in his pocket with the tin horn. Louis had to hurry. He did not want to be late for work. Chapter 2. The Junkyard. The junkyard where Louis worked stood on the corner of Franklin and Pennell Streets. It was just a block from the ground of the street cemetery to get to work. Louis had to walk by the cemetery in the dark. There isn't much pile ground in New Orleans. Most of the city is below the level of Mississippi River, which flows parted. High walls called levels keep the water out, but water is never far away. Water will quickly fill a grave dug in the ground, so people in New Orleans are laying to rest in above ground in cement and marble buildings. These buildings make a New Orleans cemetery look like a little town, a city of the dead. Some of Louis' friends were afraid to walk by the cemetery at night. Not Louis. He figured that the ghosts, if there were any, were on their way home by now. Good morning, spooks. Louis laughed in a loud voice. Did you all have a good night? Sweet dreams now. Don't let the bedbugs bite. Then he ran just in case one of the spooks didn't find that so funny. Louis ran all the way to the junkyard. He arrived just as the first lights of the sun appeared above the roofs of New Orleans. The, the sign above the junkyard gate said, Car Sky and Sons. We buy people. Rags all around. Good morning, Alex. Good morning, Morris. Louis called to the two car skies boys. Alex and Morris were older than Louis. They treated him like a little brother. Louis helped Alex and Morris harness their horse, harness their horses. Rosie to the junk wagon. Rosie liked Louis. She lowered her head so Louis could scratch in her ears. Got law, huh? Alex, the longest Cow's guy, asked Louis. You bet, said Louis. He took the tin horn from his pocket. It was the dentine in the middle, and the one in the mouthpiece was gone. Louis had to blow through his two fingers to get a sound out of it. Louis didn't mind. A tin horn was better than no horn at all. He blew a snapping ringtone tune. That's great, Alice said. Morris, his older brother, agreed. King Olivia better watch out. Morris said, Louis is getting real good on that horn. He'll be the king of the New Orleans someday. Louis could be better than good, Alice said. Don't you think he needs a real horn? I wonder how he can get one. I wish I knew, Louis said. Horns cost a lot of money. I don't know how I'll ever save enough to buy a real one. You never know, said Alice. Today could be the day. Go see Mama. She wants to make sure you eat breakfast before we leave. I already ate breakfast, Louis said. He didn't want to tell Alice old Morris the truth. Then you eat another one, said Morris. We know how much you like to eat. Hurry, it's almost time to go. Louis went to the little house at the end of the junkyard. Pop Kowalski was reading the newspaper. Hello, Pop, Louis said when he came through the door. When he came through the door. Pop, Kowalski, look up. Hello, Louis. Are you ready to go to work? He asked. Louis will be ready to go to work after he eats, says Mama Kowalski. Louis, go wash your hands. Yes, ma'am. Louis carefully washed his hands at the sink. He drained them on the towel. He he drained them on the towel. Then he sat down at the table. Mama Kowalski filled a bowl with her special grits. She called it kask. She buttered in a thick slice of black bread. She filled a glass with milk. Eat, Louis, she said. How can you be big and strong if you don't eat? Louis didn't argue. Morris was right. He loved to eat. Louis ate two bowls of kask. He ate three slices of black bread. He drank two glasses of milk. He drank a mug of tea. Then he was ready to go. Tell Alice to come home early, Mama Kowalski said. Homicide starts tonight. What's homicide? Louis asked. It's a holiday, a Jewish holiday, Kowalski said. He smiled at Louis. You'll come tonight. You know all about it. Thanks for my breakfast, Mama, Louis said. He carried his bowl, glass, and ran to the sink. He heard Alice call, hurry up. Rosie wants to get going. I'm coming, Louis. I'm coming. Louis went out the door. He jumped into the wagon and sat down beside Alice. Alice flickered the reins. Rosie started walking. Cluck, shut, 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 shut. Between the piles of junk that filled the yard, Morris opened the gate to let the wagon through. Louis thought about what Pop Crossguy had said. He knew the Crossguy was Jewish. He just wasn't sure what being Jewish meant. He did know that the Crossguy was different from most of the other families he knew. Pakelska always wore a hat, inside and outside the house. Mama Kelska never cooking ham or pork. She never sold milk and meat together. They closed the junk lot on Saturday, not Sunday. is all separate. Required shows Alice once explaining. In some ways, there were real differences. Not many white families would let a black child sit at their table and eat from their dishes. Louis' mother hadn't believed Louis' mother hadn't believed it when he told her. They must be good people, she said. There are good people, Louis thought. He suddenly remembered what he was supposed to tell Alice. Mama says we have to come home early. Tonight is Louis could not remember the war. Homicala, said Alex. I didn't forget. Got law home? Yeah, said Louis. Then off we go, said Alex. The junk is waiting. Chapter 3. In the alley. The shooter was walking up. Louis smelled fresh coffee. He smelled the special New Orleans donuts called Melanets. Helenets. The market opened and people calling out what they had to sell. Fresh bread. Fresh, hot from the oven. Watermelon, so sweet and ripe. Fresh watermelon. Tomatoes, tomatoes, tomatoes. Banana, banana. Fresh, fish, catfish. Coming by. Each call was like a song. Louis took out his tin horn. He made up tunes to go with the sales. He made up tunes to go with the cars he hauled. Alice had a car, too. It went rags, clothes, bottles, all on. Louis made up a tune to go with Alice's car. People liked to hear Louis play. They brought their junk to Alice. Alice paid a penny for a big sack of bottles and tin cans. He loaded the junk in the back of the wagon. You keep playing. I'll load the junk. Alice told Louis. Lohan brings the people. They see their junk for their so they can hear your blow, Lohan. Lohan makes people happy. I wish I had Wilhelm, Louis said. I play like King Oliver. I make I'll make lots more people happy. That day will come, Alice said. And I know it will. For now, you're doing fine. The three of us make a good team. You, me, and Rosie. And my horn, said Louis. He started playing faster. Soon the king running. Louis saw many of his cousins. He saw many of his friends. Play, Louis, play that horn. They taught him. The children loved to hear Louis make music. They searched the alleys for cans and bottles. They put them in sacks. They brought them to the wagon. They danced together in the streets while Louis played. Some people even tossed pennies to Louis. Alice picked up the pennies and gave them to Louis. Keep playing, Alice said. A man came walking along the street with his girlfriend. Louis could tell the man was a sport. Sports were the best dressing fellows in New Orleans. Most were gamblers. They lived fast and hard. They won old lost hundreds of dollars playing dice or cards. Lady Luck must be smiling on this dude. Louis thought the man wore a fine suit and a brand new hat. His high button shoes shining as brightly as the diamond ring on his finger, and the gold tooth in his mouth. Louis started blowing his tin horn as hard as he could. Listen to that boy play, the sports girlfriend said. He has talent. Yes, he does, the sport said. Too bad he doesn't have real horn. That tin horn's nothing. It's a piece of junk. The sport reached into his pocket. He took out a coin and tossed it into the wagon. It looked up a real hard. Louis picked up the coin. It was a silver dollar. Look, Alex, Louis said, a whole buck. We're doing good. 50 cents for you and 50 cents for me. No, said Alex. It's $1 for you. You earned it. That's about like the way you blew your horn. Louis was amazed. Jenna will toss pennies to hear him play. But a whole dollar, he couldn't believe it. If you can make $1 with that little beat up town home, there's no telling how far you could go with a real one. Alice said. Yeah, said Louis. A horn or your arm? A horn on his arm? A trumpet or even a little cornet? How many more dollars will he need? Alice brought the junk wagon to a part of the town called the French Quarter. It was the oldest part in New Orleans, built when the city belonged to France. Some of the houses were so old that they had to lean against each other to keep from falling down. The wagon passed pretty balconies, balconies that hung over the streets. Many intelligent people live in the quarter. They love people. They love music. Hey, Bernardo, play Law Horn for us. Louis began to play. People came out on the balconies to listen. Children followed the wagon, dancing in the street. A boy ran out to the wagon. He was older and bigger than Louis. How can you make music come out of that little piece of time? He asked. It doesn't even have a mouthpiece. Louis showed him how he had his fingers together and blew the down to make a sound. Without warning, the boy snatched the tin horn from Louis' hands. Come back with that, Alice shouted. Louis jumped from the wagon. Give me my horn, he yelled, running after the boy. The boy, the big boy laughed and tossed the horn to another boy. Louis ran after him. Come and get it. The boys yelled, tossing the horn back and forth. It was a game for them, but not for Louis. He needed that horn. Alice couldn't help him. He had to stay with the wagon. Louis had to get his horn back by himself. The boys ran down an alley. Louis ran after them. They, the alley turned and Trish and Louis could no longer see the boys, but he could hear them laugh. He followed their voices. The alley opened up into a courtyard filled with trash. Louis saw the boys gathering in the corner. There were 7 of them, and one of him. They looked tough. Louis couldn't outfight them. He had to outthink them. The biggest boy was trying to play the time pawn. He couldn't get more than a buzz out of it. Louis walked right up to him. You'll never get it to play with that way. Do you want me to show you how to do it? Louis asked. Yeah, the boy had said. He handed Louis the tone. The other boys gathered around to watch. Louis ducked between them and ran. The boy chasing after him. Louis ran down the alley. Which way should he go? Which way should he go? Right, left. This wasn't his neighborhood. He didn't know these streets. They went every which way, like a tangle in a blender or an old wild in the back of the junk wagon. The boys were getting closer. Louis knew he was in big trouble if they caught him. Suddenly he heard a family cry. Rags, clothes, bottles all around. It was Alex calling for him. The junk wagon had to be near. Louis ran toward Alex's voice. The alley opening up onto a street. There was a there was the junk wagon. There was the junk wagon. Louis leaping to the back among the piles of junk. The boys stopped in their tracks. Alex stood up, holding the cart whip that he used to guide Rosie. "Do you boys want something?" he asked them. The boys slumped back into the alley, mumbling to themselves. Alex went until they were out of sight before turning to Louis. "Are you crazy?" he asked him. "What's the idea?" The boys belonged to the street gang. "They could have beat you bloody." "I got my home back," Louis said. "Did you?" said Alex. "Take a look at it." Louis started at the scratch and time that tube that used to be his own home. He half fell on it when he jumped into the wagon. When he tried to straighten it out, the horn snapped in two. "My horn," Louis screaming. "The horn is Kappa. Kappa. Fish. May it rest in peace," Alice said. "What am I going to do?" Louis robbed. "You get a new one," Alice answered. "It's about time. I was getting tired of listening to that old piece of junk." "How I'm going to pay for a new horn?" Louis demanded to know. "The sport give you $1." "It's a start," Alice gambled. "Let's go shopping." Chapter 4. Alice stopped the wagon in front of Power Shop. It was on the corner of Rampart and Vernon Streets. Louis got down from the wagon and walked out to the window. He looked inside. "Do you listen to anything you like?" Alice asked. Louis saw guitars, trombones, and clarinettes hanging in the window. He saw saxophones, violins, and banjos, and a one trumpet. The trumpet looked new, its polished brass shiny. Louis stood on tiptoe. He pressed his nose against the window. That trumpet was the most beautiful horn Louis had ever seen. Then he looked at the price tag. $25. Louis' shoulders sagged. He looked at the silver dollar in his hand. That trumpet might as well have been made of gold. It cost a lot more money than he had. It cost more money than he had ever seen in his life. Louis turned back towards the wagon. "Where are you going?" Alice asked. "Back to the junk lot," Louis said. "That home cost too much money. I couldn't even glean enough money to buy it." "Don't give up," said Alice. "We just started looking. There must be thousands of homes in New Orleans. Who knows? Maybe we can talk to the pawn shop man. He might be willing to bring in a burglar. He might have no home you can't buy. Let's go on in and have a look around." Looking around doesn't cost anything. Louis and Alice tied Rose's reins to a street lamp. They walked into the pawn shop together. "We were looking at that trumpet in a window," Alex said to the man behind the counter. "How much do you want for it?" $25, like the price tag says. "It's a real good buy." The man answered. "That horn used to belong to our father who played with King Oliver. He fell on hard times and had to sell his horn. Bad luck for him. Good luck for you. Would you like to play it? See how it sounds." "Not me," Alice said. "I can't play the horn. I can't even sing. I couldn't carry the tune if you put it in my wagon. But I bet my partner Lewis can play any tune you like. How about letting him try? The man made a sour face. He went to the store's front window and took out the glaring horn. He replaced the mouthpiece with one he kept on a shelf. Lewis and Alice both knew why he did that. White people wouldn't buy a horn that a black person's lips and he touched. How well he can, how well he could play didn't matter. Lewis felt ashamed and saw dead Alice, but they didn't say anything. They wanted a horn. Lewis left the trumpet to his mouth. He pressed the mouthpiece against his lips. He pressed the valves up and down. Lewis wasn't sure how to lose them, but he knew he could figure it out. Lewis blew, Lewis blew. The sound that came out of the horn surprised him. It was clear and bright, loud and warm at the same time. Wow, said Lewis. Keep playing, Alice said. Show the man what you can do. Lewis began to play, getting the hand out of valves as he went along. He played Home, Sweet Home to start. Then he played a fast tune, Sought the Dog. The paw shot, man's foot began tripping, began tapping. He smiled. That kid is good. He told Alice, sure he is. That's why we're looking for a real home for him. He's been blowing on a tin horn long enough. If he had a real horn, he'll be good enough to play with King or Little. Maybe I can help him. The pawn shop man said, I'll let the boy have that horn for $15. That's real kind of you, but $15 is still more than We can pay. Alice told him. He turned to Lewis, gave the man his horn. We need to get back to the junkyard. It broke Lewis' heart to hand over that beautiful horn, but he had no choice. He didn't have $15. Even if he had, he couldn't spend that much money on him. When his family needed so many things, Louis' shoulders slumped as he headed for the door. Wait a minute, the pawn shop man said. That kid sure can play. I agree with you. He needs a real arm. I'd like to help him out. How much money do you have? Louis was about to say $1 when he felt Alex's elbow jab him in the arm. Louis knew what that meant. It meant be quiet. It meant be quiet and let me do the talking. Not much, Alex said. Maybe we can go as high as $5. I know you don't have a horn that cheap. Thanks for letting us look. And thanks for letting Louis try out that trumpet. Alice turned to the door to open the door. Hold on the pawn shop, man said. Let me see what I can do. Louis and Alice went while the man went into the back room. They heard running, scrapping as the man moved boxes and barrels. At last, he found what he was looking for. How about this? The man said as a B-flat cornet. He put a barrel horn on the counter in front of Louis. The horn was so old the brass he turned green. There was spider webs in the bell. The valves crackled when Louis pressing them. The poor old horn was scratching it and the dentella from one end to the other. It looked like it had been thrown in the trash. Alice looked at Louis. What do you think? Louis shook his head. He didn't want his horn. It was just a piece of junk. It belongs in the back of the junk. wagging with the bottles and tin cans. Thanks, mister. Louis told the man. I keep looking. Wait just a minute. The pawn shop man said, I know what you're thinking. You think that if our horn looks like a piece of junk, that's what it must be. You're wrong. I've been in business 30 years. I've seen all kinds of people come in here with all kinds of horns, trumpets, cornets, trumpets, saxophones. What a horn looks like doesn't matter. You can polish the brass. You can oil the vowels. You can dust the collar bells. All that counts in the sound that comes out. Give the horn a chance. Hear, hear how it plays before you make up your mind. He's right, Louis, said Alice. Give me a horn a chance. Give the horn a chance. What do we have to lose? Maybe we like it. The pawn shop man will rip off. The, the pawn shop man rip off dust and cobwebs with his handle shape. He scribbled the oil onto the vowels and blew them up and down until they stopped squeaking. He took off the old mouthpiece and put a clean one on it. Then he handed the cornets to Louis. Louis began to play. He started with After the Ball. Then he switched to the Saints. The most famous song in New Orleans. Oh, when the Saints go marching in. Oh, when the Saints go marching in. The old horn played beautifully. Louis could slide from one note to another without any trouble at all. It was as if he and the old cornets were singing together. Oh Lord, I want to be in that number when the saints go marching home. Oh Lord, I want to be in that number when the saints go marching home. What did I tell you? The pawn shop told Alice, don't go by looks. That kid and that horn were made for each other. Give him a little time to practice on it, and wouldn't be surprised if King Olivia himself starts to listen. King Olivia, did the pawn shop man really think he was that good? Louis had the cornet tight. He didn't want to let go of it. It might be old and beat up, but Louis knew he had to have this horn. He had to. $8 and it's yours, says the pawn shop man. I'll throw it in a new my piece. Only $8, and you take it away with you. What do you say? Alice glancing at Louis from the corner of his eye. Louis knew what that meant. Don't say a word. Louis put the horn put the horn back on the counter. He held it for an extra moment. The black owner grinness. Brass felt warm to his mouth, to his chest. He turned to the door. We're outside with Rosie, Alice said. I'll be alone in a minute. Goodbye, Horn. Louis whispered into himself as he stepped into the street. That's the end of the part one of this book called A Home for Louis. A Home for Louis part two will start tomorrow. Until then, I'm Joseph Cook. Have a great evening. Good night.